Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to solve linear inequalities. And the cool thing about solving linear inequalities is that it's just like solving a linear equation. You just have to be on the lookout for one item, and that is multiplying. And that would be multiplying and dividing both sides of the inequality by a negative. That's what you got to be on the lookout for. Because if that happens, you must remember to reverse the inequality. You'll have variables there, so you won't be able to rely on comparing numbers. Okay? You must reverse the inequalities. Okay? Otherwise, it's all the same. So let me give you, I just got some couple basic examples here. You're also going to be graphing the solution. So here I have negative 19n is greater than 133. Well, let's see, I'm multiplying n by negative 19. I'm going to draw my street. What does multiplying by negative 19? Dividing by negative 19. So I've got to divide by negative 19, and this is where woo, woo, woo sirens have to be going off in your head. Okay, why? Because we divided both sides of the inequality by negative. And those sirens are the only thing that you have to tell you to reverse that inequality. Otherwise, you have no clue that that's what you need to do. So this ends up being n is less than negative 7. Now, we want to go to our number line, and our boundary point is at negative 7, which would be right here. The question is, do we use an open circle or a solid circle? Again, less than and greater than, they take less ink to draw, so you use the point that takes less ink to draw. Open circle. And then here, the less than or equal to and greater than or equal to, well, they take more ink to draw. So you're going to use the circle that takes more ink, and that's a solid point. And since this is less than, takes less ink, so I'm going to keep an open circle up here. So I have an open circle. Now, this means all the values on the real number line that is less than negative 7. Notice it's pointing to the left. So less than negative 7 would be like negative. Anything that's more negative. So anything to the left here gets shaded. And that's all there is to it. Let's do another one. Okay, here's another example. M plus 18 is greater than or equal to negative 2. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and write it down here. M plus 18 is greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, well, here's my two-step equation. Well, it ends up being one step, but if I box a term I'm solving for, who didn't make it inside the box? It's positive 18. What undoes adding 18? Subtracting 18. Of course, whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. Okay, I have a 0 pair here, so this ends up being 0. And I'm only left with an m. Now, it's important to keep what's on the left, and what's on the right. You can't switch things back and forth. Get a little more leeway with the equations. Okay, now I'm going to bring down my inequality that no siren should be going off. I didn't divide by negative. Now I have negative 2 minus 18. So that means I'm going to add those two together. I get 20. Since they're both negative, I get negative 20. So this answer means m is any number greater than or equal to negative 20. So I got to find my boundary point, and that's negative 20. Question is, what kind of circle is it? Solid or open? Well, this is the type of inequality that takes more ink to draw, so you want to use the circle that takes more ink. This is m is all the values bigger than negative 20 or equal to. So that means it's going to go to the right. So that's where all those positive numbers are, and those are definitely bigger than negative 20. And there you go. There's another example. Let's do one more. Okay, here's one more. Again, I'm going to rewrite it. I have negative 14 is greater than or equal to n minus 6. Okay, and I'm going to draw my street, box the term I'm solving for. Who didn't make it inside the box? A minus 6. What undoes subtracting 6? Adding 6. So I'm going to add 6 to each side. Okay, negative 14 plus 6, that would be a negative 8. And my inequalities stay the same. No sirens going off. I didn't multiply or divide by negative. And then I'm left with n, because negative 6 plus 6 is a 0 pair. Okay. Now notice in this inequality, n ends up being on the right-hand side. Okay, so it makes it a little awkward when you try and graph the solution. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite it so that the n is on the left. Now, this is very important to keep track of your inequality here. Notice that, see how this is pointing at the end? Well, when you rewrite it, you want to make sure it's still pointing at the end. And then you'll see how it's kind of eating the negative 8. Well, it's still eating the negative 8. So I'm not reversing the inequality, I'm just rewriting it so that my variable is on my left-hand side. This allows me to put my circle at negative 8. Now, is it going to be solid or open? You guessed it. Since this takes more ink to draw, you're going to use the solid circle, which takes more ink to plot. Now, n is less than or negative 8, less than or equal to negative 8, so it's going to be everything to the left. Now, again, I know it's easy to use it takes less ink, so it's open, takes more ink, it's solid. But think about what this is saying. This right here means n can be any value less than or equal to. So anything up to and including negative 8, which is why it's solid. Okay. The other ones, if it just said less than, it would be up to negative 8 but not including, which is why you'd have an open circle. Hope this helps you. Good luck.